I don't have a PowerPoint for this, so I'm actually just going to pull this up because this was the other thing I was looking at. And it is a keyhole art project. So this is what we'll start today. And I'm just going to pull up these pictures so that you can see them. So this is actually a painting. And so what you're looking through is like the keyhole of a door, or you could do like the viewing hole that you might see in like hotel rooms, or some of you might have them in your front door at home. You could also do that, but it's the shape of a keyhole, and then something will be outside, and then something will be like on the door that you're looking through. So this is one example. This is pretty intricate. Perspective in drawing is showing something that is close to you and showing something that is far away. So you can see like in this one, for example, when you're looking through the keyhole, you can tell that I don't know, what is this, like a dresser and some like a cabinet kind of,
Yeah.
are farther away, and that is being perceived by the viewer because of perspective. So we'll talk about that as well, and I'll get a PowerPoint ready for that. Here's another one. Less perspective. So like everything is kind of the same size. I would say on this one, it doesn't really look like something is going farther away, which is totally an option. Again, less detail on the actual outside of the keyhole, but then a lot of fun detail inside of the keyhole. So this is kind of looking through, right? And then I have one last example. So this one is kind of fun. This keyhole is a different shape on the outside. So again, they added, like, let me open both of these up. They added more detail on the outside of the keyhole. So they added kind of this, it looks like it's probably on the side of a tree or a fence or something. And then looking in, you can see this one shows perspective as well, because you can see like the gnomes and the elves in the front appear to be bigger. And then the trees are getting smaller as they move backward, which is showing that these things are in the front, these things are in the back, and it has depth. So it's showing close to far away.
Are we going to be doing it on paper or like on our iPad?
Good question. So I am okay with you doing either. You can either do it, I would just do it on, a white printer piece of paper. And again, we'll talk more about this tomorrow, and I'll probably put my piece of paper underneath my iPad and share that screen with you, so you can kind of see the different options of what you can make as your keyhole. Or you could also do it on your iPad. I use Autodesk Sketchbook personally, but if you have another app that you use, I'm okay with that as well, as long as you're saving it, you're keeping it, and you're able to follow along with everyone as we work each day. Yep, good question.
Do we have to like color it at the end, like of drawing that keyhole?
Good question. I would say yes, personally, and I think I've said this before, kind of with the radial designs. I feel like when projects are left in just pencil, like that one example, to me looked really nice. They had great perspective, like the floor tiles looked really cool, but I felt like it looked unfinished because it wasn't colored in. So yes, I will have us coloring them in the end. Absolutely. If you have other paper that you want to use, that's totally fine too. I just personally know that I think the most common would be just like a printer piece of paper, and that's what I have here. But if you have other options, yeah, absolutely. Or like even if you had like a brown piece of paper, you could use that as like the door, and then you could color and draw inside of that too. So you can be creative with what you're doing. What I want us to do right now is stay on Zoom, and I would either take out a piece of paper, take out your iPad, and just start kind of writing down some ideas. So I'm trying to think of what I might do if this were mine. Let's see, like you can see some of them are fantasy or like mystery. It could be elves, it could be fairies, it could be wizards, like it could be a Harry Potter theme. You could do something like that, or it could be something that is very real. You're looking through the keyhole at your backyard, you see a swing set, you see flowers, you see birds and animals and things like that. So you can, it can be very fantasy, or it can be very realistic. It could be indoors, it could be outdoors.
Could we like paint it if we wanted?
Oh, good question. Absolutely. I'm okay with you painting it. The one thing that's a little bit tricky is if you are using just a printer piece of paper, and if you're planning on using watercolor, it gets pretty wet and goes through. You can still make it work totally. If you're using like tempera paints, or the paints that come in like the little squeeze bottles, those will go on this type of paper a little bit easier because you don't need water to make those work. But yeah, it's up to you. Yep. Good question. And so what I normally have us do is make like a rough draft or a sketch, right? And just start kind of planning out your ideas. And then from there, you'll probably redraw it to make it look a little bit nicer, maybe add a couple more details. And then from there, you'll trace your pencil lines just like we did with our radial design. From there, you'll erase the pencil lines and then you'll color. So that kind of process is very similar in most of the projects that we'll be doing. You could cut out of a piece of paper, brown, if you wanted to do a door. Yep, absolutely. Cut out that keyhole shape and put it on top of a piece of paper that has a background on it. That's a great idea. I love that idea. Yep, totally. With the idea that Ruby was talking about, you could do it in a couple different ways. You could have a white piece of paper and you could decorate from top to bottom, side to side, fill the whole thing up so that no matter where the keyhole was, you would be able to see something in the background. However, if you didn't want to fill this entire paper, you could just fill the part that the keyhole would see. That would be kind of up to you. And you'd have to kind of measure and trace that out so that you know what is going to be seen and what is not going to be seen. But yeah, that's an option. So it's like a circle on the top, but you don't close it all the way. And then the bottom is like almost like a rectangle mixed with a triangle. So like this is what I have first. So I like come down with a diagonal line, come down with a diagonal line like that, kind of like a balloon almost, but longer. And then a straight line across the bottom. Personally, that is how I draw mine. But yeah, there you go.